And when I have people do that, they start with, well, I want to, fit in my jeans better. I want to look better and my tank tops look better. And then you have them keep going. And then it's like, oh, I want, my doctor said my blood pressure's too high. And then you have them keep going. And then you say, well, my skin's kind of sallow and it doesn't look so great. And, and you have them keep going, oh, my sex life isn't that great. And you have them keep going. Pretty soon, if I'm standing in front of an audience and I have them go through this, there can be 50 things on that list of why you want a healthier lifestyle. And so what I tell people is, this isn't about thinner thighs and a tighter tummy. This is about your entire life. Getting up in this is about every single thing in your life is impacted by this body of yours. And I don't care if you have, a Ford Falcon or a Lamborghini type of body. They all have the chassis and the wheels and all the components of what a car would have. Your body has, it needs care. And so that you can live in this body will serve you for your entire life.
Welcome to the Woman's Doctor podcast, helping empower women to embrace their body and soul's full potential. I'm your host, Dr. Trevor Cates, and after 22 years of working with patients, I found the answers to our health struggles are much deeper than most people realize. To help explore this, I'm interviewing colleagues and other wellness experts to get to the root cause so women can realize their true beauty and be informed decision makers for themselves and their loved ones. It's now 2023 and time for New Year's resolutions. But what can we do differently this year to really set ourselves up for success? As today's guest explains, this is the body that's going to carry you through life. So how do you make it work to its optimal potential? You've likely seen today's guest somewhere, whether it's on a TV show like Oprah or watched one of her fitness videos, or maybe seen her on the cover of Shape Fitness magazine. Forbes calls her a fitness titan for a good reason. Today's guest is Cathy Smith. She has been at the forefront of fitness and wellness industries for more than 30 years. She has an impressive collection of New York Times bestselling books, videos, lifestyle products, and fitness equipment, and a spot in the Video Hall of Fame. Cathy lives in Park City near me, and we've been friends for years. I had so much fun interviewing her for this podcast. We talk about how to make this the year that you actually make and keep New Year's resolutions. We're talking about goals around fitness, weight, aging, and confidence. We discuss the fitness trends that have come and gone, ones that are new, and the ones that are here to stay. Cathy also shares her own personal routine, how to avoid something called dead butt syndrome, and she shares some really creative ways to get fit and feel your best. And let me just add that Cathy Smith just celebrated her 21st birthday, and wow, if you haven't seen her lately, go check her out on social media and see what an inspiration she really is. She walks the talk. So please enjoy this interview. Cathy Smith, it's so great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Trevor. It's great to see you. And it was great seeing you at your little celebration this last weekend or, earlier in the month. It was so great because I haven't seen you in so long. And the fact that you are now married and radiant and glowing. And it was so much fun meeting your husband and hearing about this journey and seeing pictures from the wedding. So, it fills me up with love and, you're so inspirational. So it was fun to see you. And I'm glad we get to do this today.
Oh, thank you, Cathy. Well, we can do another podcast down the road someday on relationships because you and I could probably talk a lot about that. But today we're talking about New Year's resolutions, it's so funny because you and I have talked about New Year's resolutions for so long, right? And it's like, here we are again, but what's going to be different this year? So let's talk about how can this year be different? How can we help set you up for success this year? And, New Year's resolutions, people are still doing them. I still think that they're a good idea as long as you stick with them. But I think we should have goals all year round, not just in January, right?
Exactly. Well, and I also think it's important to many times reframe your resolution because people forget that it's just not the end result. It's the process of getting to that end result. And when you step into the process, the journey becomes much easier, much better, and you'll stick with it longer. So let me give you an example. If the idea is, I want to lose 20 pounds, let's say, whatever the number is, that is this big goal at the end. And it's kind of daunting. And immediately you go into, I'm not going to be able to have this. I have to exercise more. I have to, give up the things I want. And we all get good at it. And you might try something like a fast, or you might try keto. You might try something for a week or 2 weeks. And then if it's not part of what you enjoy doing, it's not part of the process and a lifestyle change, then that's where the vicious cycle starts. It starts, which is you just drop off. But if you start reframing that goal, and maybe the goal is more like, I want to find 2 classes that I really enjoy, and I want to reach out to 5 friends and ask them if they'll join me in the month of January for my yoga or my strength training or my hiking. And then you make dates with those people and you put it on the calendar. I'm meeting Trevor at Orange Theory. I mean, I got my bookkeeper called me yesterday. She goes, have you ever heard of Orange Theory, Kathy? I go, yeah, I've heard of it. She goes, oh my God, I found it next month. Would you go with me to one? I go, sure, I will. And I put it on the calendar. But those sort of things where you start to make it social, you start to make it, you put it on your calendar and you start to make it habitual. And that just means it's like you start to find fun ways, like we're going to hook up sometime to either go skiing or hiking or sledding. And we're not thinking, oh, we're going to go burn calories. We're thinking we get to get outdoors. It's going to be invigorating, the pine trees with the white glistening snow. And that fun factor starts to fill you up. And it perpetuates the habit. I mean, it allows you to get into it. That felt so good. You want to get up the next day, but it's chunking it into smaller pieces. Another thing would just be, for you want to lose 20 pounds. Another way of reframing that is, I want to pick one habit when it comes to your food. I want to cut out processed foods. If everybody would take one thing, and whether it's every week or every 2 weeks, address that one thing just this week. Don't change your everything. Just cut out all processed foods. Just only eat vegetables, like the perimeter. Eat your good proteins, your veggies, and, fill in, some wild rice or something at one point for an extra grain if you need it. But in general, I'm going to go with fresh, whole foods and just try that as opposed to I have to eat less, or the next week for me, and I constantly come back to this one because this one changes my whole being. I'll take a week where I'm going to up my water. I'm just going to up my water. And I have a container at home and it's a half a gallon. I'm going to just up my water intake because I know when I do, my system just balances out so well. But even as many years am I doing this, I still might find myself going at times when I'm feeling more dehydrated or I'm not drinking as much. So it's really finding small things you can do. And I get out a notebook and I call it my bubbles, and I make flowers because I'm visual. So I put in the middle of the paper, I put the bubble. I said more water. And then around the bubble, I create, like we did when we were kids, like flowers. And I then, in each of those, I might put a reason why, like why: better hydration, better skin, better elimination, better on the cellular level, feel more vitality, feel sharper. And I put all those around. And then that might be something that I color in. Again, I'm one of those people that very visual. So I like to sometimes create a little piece of artwork around something I'm doing.
I love that. That's great. I mean, I think whether you're visual, you're auditory, we learn differently. We change our habits differently. We set goals and follow them a lot. Whatever people do that sets them up for success, right? That's what this is about. And I think that too, one of the things you mentioned was community. And I think that a lot of what's happened over the last few years is a lot of us felt really isolated. I mean, I know I felt that way during the pandemic. So now, as we try and figure out how to connect with other people and can we get together and do things, with our community, I think that helps with fitness, health, wellness goals. If you're doing it along with other people, don't you think community is a big part of that?
Huge. I mean, they've always, in New York Times had an article, this was many years ago, but your friends make you, I don't know how it would go over now, but it's, your friends can make you fat. But the whole research study was around, depending on who you hang out with will determine your weight. Because if your five best friends are going for pizza every night, then you're going to join them for pizza every night. And that's going to impact you. The same is true if your five friends are going to a yoga class, a Pilates class, to the gym, to the hill, and you start, following or, joining them, then you're more likely to adapt those habits. So now whenever you heard that, you're going, well, what are you going to do? Change your friends? But not necessarily. You still keep your network of friends, but it's just that idea of encouraging your friends and broadening your network of friends, or your social network, to include, if you don't have it already. So if it's not natural, you don't have it already, then perhaps you be the leader for your friends and say, come on, you guys, like, let's go for a walk today. After dinner tonight, let's all go for a walk, and then come over to my house to watch a movie or something. Be the leader that makes the change in your group, but also find other people and find communities. And it's really like going through every year. I'm thinking, because it's just about every year, but maybe not, maybe every other year. I like to try some new activity. And it might be Tai Chi, it could be, pickleball, it could be, like this year, my goal is to take up skinning, which for those of that don't live in ski country, it's basically where you take and put skins on the bottom of your skis, and then you actually walk up the hill, and then you take the skins off and ski down. Now, I've done it twice now. It's pretty amazing. But what's lacking, and the thing that's holding me back from doing it, is I don't have a community around it yet. I know, and that is the thing.
I have backcountry skis. I could go with you.
Oh, fantastic. See, that's it. Well, then we make a day, because for me, I go, oh my God, like I get up every morning. And again, for those who haven't been in Park City, it's been like 9 degrees. It's like, and I'm going, it's way too cold. But with skinning, you get warm very quickly. But I'm not going up by myself, and I don't really know how to do it that well. I need a confidence buddy. It's kind of like having somebody who either knows how to do it, or at least the two of you together are going to jump into something new. So think about who your confidence buddy might be and give them a call.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Okay. And then I think, this time of year too is also just a challenging time for multiple reasons. In my new book, Natural Beauty Reset, I talk about the seasons and how our hormones change, our mood changes, a lot of things, our needs change for the seasons. And winter can be the most challenging for people. We have shorter days, less sunlight, which impacts our mood, our like serotonin levels tend to be lower. And then we've also come out of the holidays where a lot of people have been drinking too much alcohol, eating too much sugar, and maybe not exercising as much as they normally would. They're just not out of their typical routine. And so it's like, this is particularly, I think this is actually a good time for New Year's resolutions, because it kind of like, let's reset everything and get back on track. So considering the time of year, are there any specific things that you found with exercise that help people with, like, particularly with winter?
Well, I think with winter, I'm sure you've heard this before, but I use this term, win the morning, win the day. And that to me is really important in winter. And basically what it means is you have 4 to 5 habits, rituals that you have every single morning. A takes you to B, takes you to C, takes you to D, gets you out the door. Because this is the thing, winter, we hear it over and over again. It's darker, you want to pull the covers, there can be some mood swings. There can be just a time when you feel less motivated. And there's so much research on, get up. So a couple things. I mean, I get up, and I walk over to my door jamb. I'm going to the bathroom now. So picture, I get out of bed, I go to the door jamb. My first thing is I have to jump up, hit the door jamb with a high five, and go and just go high five. And I do it to the door jamb. Now that simple thing, which is silly, but at the same time, it forces me to now the pop-up isn't very big because I'm just going to pop up high five, or sometimes good day. It's going to be a good day. And then I will go to the bathroom, then put on the teapot. Here comes the green tea or the matcha, for me. Then goes the gratitude, boom, boom, boom. Then goes some, like I'm during the winter time, I do a little breath work with a little, not necessarily Wim Hof, but I'm like I go outdoors in some cold brisk. It doesn't take much time. It's just, getting some brisk. Maybe I stand in the snow, but maybe I step outside and I just take 2 minutes of some, deep breathing, come back inside. And then, your workout clothes are there. Strap on your tennis shoes and you just go. But it's like that other stuff only takes about 5 to 10 minutes, but that process, high five, get into get the tea going, get the gratitude going, get some breath work with maybe a little cold therapy going, and get your tennis shoes on and go. And when you get that ritual going, now that could be modified for, depending where you are in the country, depending what your likes or dislikes. Some people want to sit down and journal for a little bit. Some people want to obviously have their coffee and, and their bulletproof coffee or whatever they want. But whatever it is for you, to get consistent with that 10 minutes right out of bed, because the opposite can happen. Let me tell you the opposite of that. You wake up, you look over, you look at the phone. Oh my God, look at this. You read something in the news or you got a text or whatever. And especially as we age, this is the thing about your brain, especially as we age, those kind of distractions can take you down this rabbit hole. Oh my God, I wonder why they phrased it like that. Wonder if she means anything by that text. Whatever that goes in your brain, it can get you looping around. So all of a sudden, an hour in the morning's gone by and you've waited, and all of a sudden you look down and you go, oh my God, I have no time for my workout now because I have to be somewhere. So, it takes a little discipline. Like I do not look at my phone first thing in the morning. I mean, I don't go down that path. I mean, that's my time. That's my special time with myself, my loved ones. If you have kids, if you have a significant other or husband like you do, time for them, but it's not a time to waste away. That is such precious time in the morning. And that sets the tone for the entire day. When you get out, you get those shoes on. And the other thing is, don't limit yourself. Like, if I go now, I'm only going to have 10 minutes of walking. Great. Get that 10 minutes in, come back. And that's the thing that through the years, people have always asked me about me. Consistency for me is the key. I don't care if all of a sudden I pushed it and I have 7 minutes. It's like, get out, do some HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, which basically means make those 7 minutes work. I mean, think like pushing, you're not doing some casual walk at that point. You're going out, you're pushing your body. When you'll come back, you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for action. And it's just a reminder, you're not skipping days. This is your life. This is you. You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this because 2023 is going to be the best year. And if you can just get yourself to be consistent every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, make it daily. It's your body. And one last thing I want to say about this. Of course, I have a million things to say, but I'm sure you've heard this called the meat suit before, right? Have you heard your body called the meat suit?
No.
Your meat suit. So this is your meat suit, meaning this is the body that you have. And just imagine this body, that this is the body that has to carry you to 100 with all of our longevity things now. Everybody's talking longevity. So this is the body that you have right now. This is the body that whatever your age is right now, this is the body that it's going to take you to 100, maybe more, but whatever, it's going to be the one that it will be with you forever. So now the key is, how do you make that body just work at its optimum? So forget about what it looks like. Forget about the pounds at this point. Just think about optimization, energization, feeling great. I mean, what you want is the feeling of being great, you want the feeling of feeling great. And then all the other things will drop in place. Your triceps will tighten up, your tummy will whittle down. But if you go for the feeling, that then starts to attract this different type of movement and whatever that's going to attract that feeling and the people around you that want that feeling. So my thing is that idea is very like how much weight you have to lose. Now, I know we all go there, but the scale, I always, one of the things I, tell people is create your own measuring stick. If I had you take out a piece of paper right now, and this is actually something I would suggest people do at the beginning of the year. I do it, but write down all the reasons. This is different than goal setting, but write down all the reasons why you want to have a healthier lifestyle and perhaps lose weight. And you start writing them down. And when I have people do that, they start with, well, I want to, fit in my jeans better. I want to look better and my tank tops look better. And then you have them keep going. And then it's like, oh, I want, my doctor said my blood pressure is too high. And then you have them keep going. And then you say, well, my skin's kind of sallow and it doesn't look so great. And and you have them keep going, oh, my sex life isn't that great. And you have them keep going. Pretty soon, if I'm standing in front of an audience and I have them go through this, there can be 50 things on that list of why you want a healthier lifestyle. And so when I tell people, I say, this isn't about thinner thighs and a tighter tummy. This is about your entire life. Getting up in this is about every single thing in your life is impacted by this body of yours. And I don't care if you have, if you have, a Ford Falcon or a Lamborghini type of body. They all have the chassis and the wheels and all the components of what a car would have. Your body has, and it needs care. And so that you can live in this body will serve you for your entire life. And, we talk about lifespan, and I'm not really a big person of lifespan because I'm all about health span. And I know you've talked about this on your show, but it's how long are you going to live well? How long are you going to be able to climb that mountain, watch the sunset, make passionate love, ski down that mountain? How long is that going to be? So when you start to think about, am I going to live to be 80, 90, whatever you're thinking, 70, 80, 90? I have friends at my age already that life has gone another direction there because, aches, pains. Pain is big, aches, all the other things that come along with, when you don't take care of your body. So, and the opposite is also true. I just had a friend who's 88 who ran the New York Marathon this last weekend. He was the oldest person to run not this last weekend, but a month ago. That's a lot of stuff that I dumped into that answer, but I hope it was helpful.
Also inspirational. And, I think it is good to think of people we know that are older than us that we admire. I think that kind of helps us go, oh, well, this is what's possible, because there's so many people around us that aren't aging well. And if we focus on that and we focus on the complaints and, the aches and pains and the diseases and the skin issues and that can be depressing. But yet if we can look to people and go, wow, look at what they're doing at their age. And even if you think, wow, that's way down the road for me, then that's actually even better, I think, because it gives you something even further out. My mom is a great inspiration for me. Kathy, you're a big inspiration for me. And my mom still rides her horse almost every day at 82 years old. And
that's so great. Oh my God.
And I'm not talking about just riding around a ring. I'm talking about through rivers, cantering down, pastures and fields and through a forest with no cell service, but she always goes with a friend. Safety first. But I think having women, especially in our lives, that we can kind of look to and go, okay, if this is possible for this person, it's possible for me, or at least part of it's possible.
Right.
And so, we need people like you, Kathy, to inspire us. You've been doing this for how many years have you been doing fitness?
Well, I would say professionally about 45 years, I guess, about 45. Yeah.
Amazing. And you're in such great shape. And sometimes when I'm not in the mood to work out, I actually think about you and I'm like, well, what would Kathy do?
I love that.
Okay, go be like Kathy. So a big inspiration. With 45 years of doing this, I want to ask you, with New Year's resolutions, 45 years of people saying New Year's resolutions, this January, I'm going to do this thing. What are some of the trends that you've seen like over the years of like top New Year's resolutions? Have you seen anything like come and go? Are there certain ones that you're like, wow, I'm really glad we're not doing that anymore? Are there any that are like, they come back year after year?
Well, year after year, every ad on TV you'll start seeing, or on magazines, it's about losing weight, and it's understandable. People want to lose weight, and it's what you're saying. People want resets. I think one trend that I see in January is a lot of different fasting starts, different types of fast. People will start with the juice fast. They'll start with the water fast. They'll start with more time restricted, what's the prolonged one called? Intermittent
fasting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they will start with, so fasting is, and I think everything has its place. Like, I think fasting, if done correctly and with the right intention, is brilliant. I think it's a great way to break habits. Like you said, you've been eating sugar, you might've been drinking more, you've been doing such and such. And so it literally is a way where you can just stop. Because for a lot of people, including myself at times, it's easier just to go cold turkey. Like, I'm just not doing any of this. But this is the but, you have to have a way to gradually get back into. So now, what is the day-to-day though? Because obviously you can't fast for your entire life. And so, meaning you can't be on a water fast or whatever fast you might do. So it's having a program in place that is doable. And I think, but let me get back so I don't get off track here. I think, it depends on the year. During COVID, Peloton was the thing. Everybody and their brother. There wasn't a person, that did you get your Peloton? Who you watching on the Peloton? Fitness trends come and go. So it was obviously from the days when even Jane Fonda, but then through the years, it's been stepping, and it's been Thai bowing, and it's been Zumba, and all these things get very popular. Everybody signs up for their classes, which I think is fabulous. So I think all that stuff's fantastic. But as far as I would say just comes to mind is, the unfortunate thing, the biggest thing that comes to mind, people try to do sort of wacky things for 10 days and then realize they can't do it. So there's been the grapefruit fast, eat as many grapefruits as you want. There's been a baked potato, and not if that the grapefruit's not a fast, but a grapefruit, that idea of like just grapefruits, just baked potatoes, just so mono meals, just pick one vegetable or fruit or whatever, and just eat that. And the thing is, 5 days, whatever, it does work because you're not eating anything else, but it doesn't work after that. And so you haven't really developed what you need, and you drop the pounds, and everybody still gets very excited about that initial weight loss. And I totally understand. Especially if you're bloated, and it's nice to get rid of that excess weight and everything. And that feels good. And you feel more energized. So all of that is a positive. And I just wish people would see that as that's the positive. And now you got to transition into now what's going to sustain you your energy, your hormones, because people get really excited about the weight loss, and then they go, oh, I didn't realize this is going to whack with my hormones, and now my cortisol levels have impacted. Or with the weight loss, the one thing I'm praying that all the women out there, as you age, you've talked about this, Trevor, and you've had other guests on that have talked about it, but as you age, and your hormones obviously change and fluctuate, and some decline, et cetera. But the main thing is exercise really impacts your human growth hormone. And it is one of the things that high intensity exercise and maintaining muscle mass really becomes more and more and more and more and more important as you age. So you kind of get away with not having to think about it too much, maybe in your 30s, and then get to 35. And then by the time you're 40, and then maybe perimenopause starts to set in, and all of a sudden it's like, your muscles, are starting to atrophy, and you're noticing just a softness in your muscles. And then And then eventually you just start to see the weight gain and the belly fat. There's just this process that happens. And, the process took, a while to get there. And so there's prevention, there's a not getting there. But then the other side of how do you start to deal with all that? And part of it is just what I said before, consistency, getting the high intensity. And I'm going to just throw that word out a few more times, because we talk about high intensity when it comes to aerobics, but all the science shows that with strength training, you need some intense exercise. The great news is it doesn't have to be that much. But that reason why you lift not just a 3-pound weight, but a heavier weight, maybe twice a week, is because of what it does on the cellular level to your mitochondria, which, as you talked about before, is, really your energy storehouses, or really creates energy in your body and in your cell, but also your hormonal profile. So what happens to your body when you lift something heavy, it's a whole cascade of great events that happen, starting with human growth hormone, but, triggering a bit of testosterone and goes all the way down. And those little things are what keeps you vital as you age. So don't ignore that high intensity work, but you don't have to do much of it. And if you want any more, I kind of maybe went off track a little bit, but if anybody needs, I can put something on. If you want to put anything in your liner notes, if you want to have something on your website, if you want to offer anybody in your group a nice strength training workout, we can put it up on your website or whatever. But just know that don't ignore the weights. Yoga is great, cardio is great, but do not ignore the weights.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. I think especially as we get older and we, atrophy, or unfortunately our muscles start to atrophy and these sorts of things we just have to work a little harder. It's not that we can't have muscle. We just have to work harder. And so I appreciate that. Well, which actually kind of reminds me of what I've heard you talk about, which is dead butt syndrome. So tell me about this.
Yeah. So as we sit on these, I call them our assets down here. And if we're sitting a lot, then what happens is the front, your hip flexors, they shorten. The back, your butt kind of lengthens out. And what happens is that another thing about your muscles that most people don't understand, your muscles activate from your brain. When you go to activate your muscle, your brain has to send, there's a nerve ending in your muscle, and your brain will, has to help activate that. Now, I can get people, and I can, after a certain age, you can go up to them and, say, squeeze your butt. You can try this. The audience can try it now or whenever, but just stand up, put your hands on your butt, and then say activate. And that means squeeze. And then you go to squeeze, and literally, and then I'll, grab different parts of your butt and grab right down your butt, almost, you're by yourself, so don't worry about it. But it's like right by, your anus, and then just activate your butt and then squeeze as hard as you can squeeze. And can you even squeeze the muscle? Does it even turn on, like at the bottom of your butt, or does it turn on at the, like when you go to squeeze, like if I'm like this, if I'm squeezing my butt, because it's activated, this is what I just am squeezing my butt. I'm just squeezing my butt, and that squeezing is, and it's creating a little apple. I ask people to do that. And matter of fact, I have them get on the floor on their back, squeeze the right, squeeze the left, squeeze the right, squeeze it. And you should feel this little, and lots and lots of people, nothing will happen. Part of it is, and so when we go to train them, what I have to have them do is to learn how to activate again. They've actually lost the ability to activate. And now they're using other muscle groups, quadriceps in particular. Hip flexors have shortened now, but putting a lot of pressure on those hip flexors, which cause lower back pain. But so posterior chain activation is my buzzword for 2023. What does that mean? Posterior, the whole back side of your body. The muscles, when you look in the mirror, you're looking at anterior. When you're not, what's on the other side is your posterior. So now what is that? That's shoulders. So now I have people do the IYT exercise. I can do the standing, sitting, I'm going to do it sitting right now, but I typically like on the floor, face down, but up, pulling your shoulders back. That's an I, like Superman. Y out here, T out here. And even these T's, what I'm doing is I'm not throwing my chest forward like this. I'm rib cage down, but it's that shoulder blade and it's that rear deltoid. And now you do this, And now you do with the head too, where you're kind of going back and forth. And so you don't get tech neck, because we're like here all the time. I'm looking down the whole time. I'm driving. Everything happens. You're here. So now how do we pull this back over? How do we get those shoulders back over our hips? And how do we get our butt engaged? And that's all called posterior chain. And that's, again, I can give people a link to the 5 exercises I do for that posterior chain. But the big thing is how to avoid dead butt. Getting back to about once an hour, if you do have to sit, at least once an hour, stand up and do a 2 to 3 minute, power push, where you do some squats, squat pop-ups, knees up, do some of these things that I just did here. And just to avoid just this being in this, and even if you're watching TV at night, think about our sitting. I mean, this is crazy how much we sit. I don't know about you. When I was in New York this last week or a few weeks ago, walking all the time, but living in Park City, I'm in my car. I'm sitting right now talking to you. I don't have to be, but I'm sitting right now talking to you. We sit, and then we exercise for that hour or 20 minutes or 10 minutes. And so the idea is, how do you do exercise snacking? That's the other concept for this year. Snack through movement throughout the day, 10-minute little snacks. Get up, give yourself a 10-minute snack, and have as somebody you follow on Instagram. Again, go to my website. We have a lot of 10-minute, get up from the computer, do your 10 minutes. But if you have somebody you love to follow, do that. Get outside and go for a walk. Exercise snacking is powerful for your weight loss, but it's powerful for your health, because that's what they're saying. Doing an exercise thing in the morning and then sitting for the rest of the day basically negates, most of the benefits of that workout.
Yeah. And when you're saying that, you don't mean like exercise while you're eating, like snacking. Let's just be clear on that.
Good one. No.
Okay. All right. Well, great. I mean, I think that those are really great tips, because I'm wondering, should we not just have one mirror in front of us, like the full mirror? We should have another one back here just to keep an eye on everything, make sure we're good all the way around.
Well, yeah. Look up, you know what, and it'll help with your neck rotation, but look up your shoulder. I mean, it's just interesting, like this idea of to notice sometimes, and you can get it from the side view, just, don't want to make people super self-conscious about this, but not bad to look at a side view of yourself in the mirror sometimes and just see it. I mean, I'm going to do it sideways here just for a second. So is it here or is it here? And let me stand up a little. So is it here or is it here? And is it here? And then as you get older, what happens, it gets more like this, and this might be up, but people don't realize, they don't look at the side. I'm a big person at looking at, when I see people on the sides, because you can really see that posture thing. And I just see you did this. And so, yeah, I mean, part of it is, oh, that's my other thing. But I don't know if we're about to close out, but the last thing, I did some energetic work the other day with a wonderful woman here in town, Ann Sargent. And anyway, one of the things that I visualized for myself for this year is, and she wanted me to visualize an animal that was going to be my, we're working on a few things, but anyway, the thing that I visualized for whatever reason came up was a mermaid. And the reason, and that's not really an animal, but why the mermaid is because the mermaid is very fluid. And when there are fins going across, they're like this, they're very fluid, very agile. And so my kind of work for the 2023 for me, and that's why I'm saying, why get in just to like weight loss? What I get every year is like, what's something I want to focus on this year? I mean, mine doesn't have to be strength because I've already got that. I got that routine down. Cardio, I pretty much, I have that routine, so I don't have to go. But what I want is this like agility and this movement and this kind of sensuality. And then how do you bring that to your conversations, to your body, to when I sit, like even that. So, and even the thing, I don't have to move that much, but I can think mermaid. And all of a sudden I can just like drop into my body a little differently. So that's another suggestion. Like for some people, they're at a point in their life where maybe their animal, I mean, years and years ago, my animal was the cheetah, because the cheetah was like fast and sleek and running. And for other people, it's like a gorilla. They need to be grounded, and they need the strength, and they need power. And that all of those little things are like, what is that what animal? I mean, maybe it's a bird, maybe it's like, butterfly or something like that. But maybe sometimes it's just finding that, because that lateness of, and not even just lightness, but that connecting, like if you're at a point where you're feeling weak and fragile, maybe victimized for some reason or other, maybe for you at this point, and I've been in that place in my life where I felt like that. And that's when I needed my boxing. And that's when I needed I needed strength. I needed my gorilla side of me. And then there's other times when, you got kind of that, you're feeling strong, you're feeling strong, but you're feeling locked in some way, or you're feeling like, or it doesn't have to be, you're just feeling like you want to experiment with something. So little parting words there. Find your avatar.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, you think about different types of exercise with your animal. Like if it's a cheetah, then maybe you want to get out and start running. If it's, a bird, then, maybe you figure out like how to start doing some skydiving along with some, I don't know, sort of exercise, like hiking your way up a mountain and doing some gliding or something, I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting way to look at it, but obviously it would lead to some inspiration if you start to feel that spirit animal or whatever it is that guides you. I love that. All right, Mermaid Kathy Smith. I'm
gonna start floating away here.
I know you're just gonna start like doing some sort of new dance. Like she's gonna start creating
mermaid dance
videos. All right. Well, this has been fun. Will you tell everyone where they can learn more about you, where they can find you?
Yeah, just go to kathysmith.com, and that's Kathy with a K, and everything's there, from my app that has it called Reshape, which has fit body, fit mind, fit food, all of my recipes and workouts and mindfulness techniques, and everything else you'll find at kathysmith.com. Okay, so that's kathysmith.com. And the other thing I was going to say is, I mean, I've had you on the podcast. Yeah, you can also either I have a podcast also with some great new guests coming up in the next couple months. And so you can just check that out. That's all on my website.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. And no more records. You're not doing the records with the thing on the wall anymore. No more records, no more videos, no more VHS, whatever. We moved on.
Right? The only thing is, I went by, it's so funny you say that. I had to go to the dentist in Salt Lake yesterday, and I was driving home and I saw, a record store. And I thought, I think I'm going to stop in. I haven't there. It's like over by Tea Grotto, which is where I get my matcha tea. And I just thought, oh my God, there's vinyls in there. I have to take my vinyl record in and show them. But anyway, yeah, those days. But the future holds very promising for the new technology. The next thing is, which we're working on, oh my God, it's augmented reality. So not virtual reality, but with the glasses and the whole thing. So I don't know how I'm going to be involved with that, but there is a brave new world coming in the next 10 years of how people are going to move their bodies. But anyway, much love and thank you to everybody. It's been a pleasure. Happy New Year.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay. Bye, Trevor.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Woman's Doctor podcast, be sure to share it with the women in your life and rate and review the show. And to learn all about balancing your hormones, join us for the Hormones, Health, and Harmony 9-part documentary series at hormoneseries.com.